Hello everyone and welcome to this video presentation. In this presentation, I will show you how to create a new virtual machine with Windows Server 2012 R2. So in this lab, we need to create a new virtual machine. We are gonna call the virtual machine MTL-MEM1. We will be installing Windows Server 2012 Release 2. We will give a memory for 768 of megabyte. We're going to create a hard disk of 40 gigabyte dynamically allocated space, and we will set the IP address for that machine with 172.16.0.10 with the /16, which is class B, which is 255.255.0.0 for the subnet mask. So to create a new virtual machine, I will go to my VirtualBox manager and I will click on new. And here I will type the name of my virtual machine. The type is Microsoft. The version I need to select Windows Server 2012 64-bit. The memory I'm supposed to give 768. Okay, so for here, let me go here. So I will give this 768. I will create a new virtual hard disk and I will give it 40 gigabyte as requested in the lab, dynamically allocated. And I will keep the VDI VirtualBox disk image format, which is the standard for VirtualBox. Click on create. So the virtual machine is created, but of course it's empty. There is nothing on the hard disk. It's just the hardware itself. So I'll go to settings to set up few things. So first I will go to the storage, and under the storage devices here, I will click on the optical drive here to select it. Then I will go insert my video, not my video, my ISO file for Windows Server 2012 R2. So I will click on here. If I had already used it before, it will appear in my list, like in my case here. If not, I will need to click on choose virtual optical disk, and I need to browse my computer to look for it. So this is the one that I'm gonna use. I click open. So it inserts the ISO file inside my optical drive here. I will click OK, and then I will start my virtual machine. So now my virtual machine is created. I will just click on start. So like every version of Windows workstation or server, it's almost the same steps in the beginning, in which you have to select the language, the keyboard, you have to accept the license agreement, the zone, the time zone. So these are basic settings that we need to choose for any installation. So the language to install is English US. The time and currency format, we're going to use the English US, and the keyboard, we're going to keep the English US. So I'll click on next and install now. So next screen, it will ask me to accept the license agreement. So I'll wait for that to appear. Oh, I'm sorry. Before the license agreement, I need to choose which version. So as you see here, I cannot see the difference between the four options that I have here because the column is very narrow. So I need to widen my column here to be able to read the details of each one of them. So the default option, or the first option that appears in my list, is Windows Server 2012 R2 standard evaluation. Server core installation. The server core installation is an installation of Windows Server, but without a graphical user interface, GUI. So it's just an installation of Windows Server that all you do in this installation of Windows Server, you run commands to execute whatever you need to do through command lines, not through a graphical user interface. The second option is Windows Server 2012 R2 standard again, but this time is the one that we are used to install, which is the server with the graphical user interface. Then we have two more options, one for the version of Windows Server Data Center for installation and Data Center with the graphical user interface. In our case, in our labs, we're going to be mostly using the standard evaluation server with the graphical user interface, or maybe the core installation if needed for some labs. So I will select the server with the graphical user interface and I will click on next. Now I have to accept the license terms and I will click on next. On this screen, I have the option to upgrade an existing installation of Windows Server or to create a new clean installation of Windows Server. If I had a Windows Server 2008 R2, I could run this first option if I needed to upgrade my existing installation. Otherwise, I will use the custom, which is a clean installation. So now next screen is asking me for the storage. So it found one hard drive of 40 gigabyte. This is the one that I just created. So I will select this one and I click on next. So the installation will start now. It will take some time to finish. When it finishes, it will be only prompting me for a password for the administrator. Okay, so I will pause this video because it might take some time. And when it finishes, I will continue the video so we'll see what's happening. So it's almost finished, the first step. So it's going to restart the computer. So it's going to restart now. Here I should never click on any key to boot from CD or DVD when you have this message on top. It's because you still have the bootable DVD in this virtual machine. I could eject it now. I don't need to keep it there. So I will click on devices on top, optical drives, and I will click remove disk from virtual drive. Otherwise, every time I restart my computer, it will give me the line that says press any key to boot from CD or DVD. So I will eject my CD. I don't need it anymore. All the needed files were already copied from the DVD to the hard disk. So it's rebooting one more time. Okay, so the only thing that's asking me now is the password for the administrator. So the administrator is an account, is the default account, and it is enabled. And I have to give it a password in order to continue. So I will put the password 01 with capital P and re-enter the password. And I'll click on finish. So now the installation of Windows Server is completed. Now I need to log in. So to log in, it's telling me to press Control Alt Delete. So I cannot press Control Alt Delete on a virtual machine from my keyboard because it will execute the Control Alt Delete on my keyboard. So it will not work. So I have two options. Either I go to Input on top here, Keyboard, and click on Insert Control Alt Delete. So it will give me the logon screen. Okay. Or I can, if you see here the option, insert Control Alt Delete, it says host plus delete. The host plus delete, the host is usually in VirtualBox, is the right control key on the keyboard. So control and delete, but the right control key, not the left control key, because on the keyboard you have a control key on the right side of the spacebar and the control key on the left side of the spacebar. So it's the one on the right side of the spacebar plus the delete key on the keyboard. Together, the combination of host, of control and delete will give me the same thing. So if I press on my keyboard control delete, I get the same login. So now I will log in with password 01, which is the administrator password. So it's booting the server for the first time. And then it will open the server manager. Okay, so here it's asking me, do you want to allow other PCs to discover you on the network? Yes, I will say yes, because this is the server and I need other client computers to see it. So now the server manager is starting by default on startup. So this is the utility that we use to manage lots of things on the server. Of course, it is slow because I'm using 768 as memory, which is very minimal. But in case you don't have, if you have more memory on your host computer, of course, it's going to be better if you use more memory. I just wanted to follow the lab, but I could have used 2 gigabytes of RAM. It would have been a little bit faster. So as you see on top, there is a blue bar that's running from left to right here on top. When this blue bar is running, it means that it did not load completely yet. So now the blue bar disappeared, so it finished loading. So for now, for the time being, I can just close that, or I can go to manage. I go to tools, and I will click on computer management. Okay, so we need to set up a few things by default that were requested from us on this lab. First thing is the computer name. So we need to set up the computer name. Don't forget that the computer name that you give in VirtualBox, this is just in VirtualBox. This is in VirtualBox Manager, just for it to appear in the list here with that name. But that's not the computer name inside Windows. Okay, so inside Windows, to change the computer name, I need to go to computer management. So this is different than the client computer. If you right click on computer and click on computer management, this PC, if I click on manage, it will not open the computer management. Okay, sometimes it will open you the server manager, which is this one. Okay, so to access this one here, so it depends. Sometimes here, if I go to if I right click on this PC and click on manage, it opens the server manager. Okay, so that's not what we want. We want to use the computer management. So inside the server manager, we can access the computer management. So let's let it load first. So inside the server manager here under tools, I have the computer management. This is the one that we are used to use in Windows 7 or Windows 10 or Windows 8. So it will open the standard computer management that we know. The other thing, other than computer management, if I need to change the computer name, so I need to right click on this PC and click on properties. And then here I need to change the computer name. By default, Windows Server 2012 will generate a name for the server. So I need to change that, and the work group is always work group. So I will change that for our lab. So our lab, I don't write anything here because this is a computer description as you see here, and by default it's blank. So it doesn't matter what I write here. The computer name, to change it, I need to click on the change button here. So when I click on change, I will type the computer name, which is MTL mem1. This is the name that was given to us in the lab, so this is one I need to put. So mtl mem1, and then here I will put our work group, which is best tech. So this is the work group. So I click OK. Of course, whenever I change computer name or work group, it will ask me to restart the computer. So I will just restart the computer. But before I restart, maybe I will do something else, because the next step that I want to do needs another restart. So instead of restarting right away, I will click on restart later, and I will insert the guest addition CD image so I can install the VirtualBox guest additions. So I will insert that, so it installed here under the CD drive. I will double click on that, and we'll run the setup for that. So I'll click on install. And even before I reboot, I will do one more change. Okay, but let's finish this Oracle VirtualBox Guest Edition installation first. I will not reboot now. I will click on I want to manually reboot later. I click on finish. Remember, we need to set up an IP address here. Okay, so by default, this computer is on NAT. But if it's on NAT, we cannot communicate with the PC1, PC2, PC3, and WG server that we had in the previous labs. So we need to go to Devices, Network, Network Settings, and I need to change the NAT to host only adapter. Okay, so I will click OK. Now I need to set up the IP address of the computer itself. So I will right click on the network icon here. I will click on Open Network and Sharing Center. And I will do the change as we are used to do. So I will go on the Ethernet connection here, Properties, TCP IPv4, Properties, and I will set manually here the IP address, which is 172.16.0.10 and /16. So 010 /16 means the subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. That's what the /16 is. In our labs here, we don't need a default gateway or DNS for the time being. So I'll click OK, OK, close, close, and now I will restart my virtual machine. So that concludes the installation of Windows Server on VirtualBox, and configuring the IP address and configuring the computer name. The only thing it will be remaining for us to do here is to create the users that we had previously. So let's just do that right away. So I will log in with host delete or control delete. Let me just enter the password. I will go to the computer management. So I will need to wait for the server manager to load. When server manager loads, I will go to Tools, Computer Management. So here I will go under Local Users and Groups, Users. I will create my 3 users or 4 users. So I will create Adam with password 01. I will uncheck user must change password and next log on. Create Julie. George. And we had another user which is our own name. So I will create an account with my name. So now I have all my users here: Adam, administrator, George, Hani, and Julie. Okay, so that concludes this section of the installation of Windows Server. We will see you on next video.